Hey, what's going on, Brodies? It is. I'm a Doodle Bob, back with you again. And today we're gonna have a part 2 to if you could roll for your perks, what would they be? Right? What would they be? Now, on the previous part of this, I talked about one of my BBB builds, right? My main one, which would allow you to just, do anything for the most part in terms of survival. I would say it's like the most versatile build you can get in terms of fighting, right? Having heavy shoves, averaging, marathon runner, deprived, guts, foreman, wide steps, or athletic. That's what I basically said the build was. And with that build, you can basically, you don't even need guns, you don't even need melee, right? You are the weapon, with you being able to shove and kick all kinds of zombies and never having to worry about running out of stam to run, running out of stam to get anywhere. So today we're gonna talk about a different build that I was low-key kind of thinking about when I was streaming earlier today. And yeah, I do stream. I do on Twitch. Recently been streaming, consistently. Today is like basically day 7 of that. Day 7. So if you wanna hop in there sometime to just see what I'm doing, whether it's me playing a game or reacting to vids, it is Mega Ninja X 17. So yeah, feel free to hop in if you would like to hop in whenever I'm actually live. I tend to be live daily, so yeah. I know that was like a whole fucking ad right there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but yeah, let's gotta get back to the actual video. Pretty sure somebody of them probably clicked off. I don't blame you. Or probably just skip like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 seconds ahead. Yeah, I don't blame you. But today we're going to be going over another BBB potential build, busted beyond belief. Now this is a build that's going to be going towards one-handed bladed weapons, right? So when we're talking about one-handed bladed weapons, you look, yeah, somebody sent me an invite, which is nice, but I'm not playing right now. When we look at one-handed bladed weapons, we have the kitchen knife, right? We got the cleaver, we got a hatchet, machete. I can't really think. I think that's probably all of them, right? Probably. If I miss some, just let me know in the comments. But yeah, we're talking about weapons like that, okay? I know we're getting into these one-handed bladed weapons, and there's a lot of them, right? So someone may ask, okay, which out of all of those one-handed bladed weapons, which one would you say it's the best? For me, I would say the hatchet is most definitely up there. The machete is also very, very good. I'm willing to say that the machete is probably the best out of all of the one-handed bladed weapons. The machete is probably the best one, and then below that, I would probably put the hatchet. Then below that, the cleaver, the kitchen knife, and then I guess yeah, that'd basically be about it. Even though I do prefer using the hatchet more than the machete, but I have started to use the machete more, and I'm like, the machete does seem not only like a little bit slower, but in terms of like, you know, swinging, it seems a lot more smoother than the hatchet, you know, because there's times where I'm using a hatchet and I swing and I'm like missing, you know, so sometimes I can't really pinpoint where my character's gonna initiate that attack, you know, before he actually does. But yeah, our build is going to be aimed towards those. All right, it's gonna be a one-handed build. So with that being said, the first perk, you know, obviously first perk is Mule because that's the perk that I want to start off with. Okay, but the perk that we actually get to roll for at level 5, first perk that I'm having on this build is Hitman. All right, Hitman is a very, very solid perk, especially if you really like using one-handed melee weapons, because what it does, it makes you do more damage with one-handed attacks, but at the cost of more stam. Okay, so you're consuming more stam, but your one-handed attacks are going to do more damage, which, if you ask me, that's not really a bad price to pay. Okay, so Hitman, you know, Hitman Expert, you're using more stam, slightly more stam, but your attacks are going to be way much more damaging, which is very good. All right, so that's the first one. Second perk, since we are going with bladed weapons, right, one-handed bladed weapons, why not pick up Butcher? Okay, Butcher, what it does, it allows you to dismember zombies way much easier. So technically you do more limb damage, you know. That's how I look at it. You just do a higher percentage of limb damage. When you have Butcher, like regular without it being on expert, that allows you to kind of, you know, take out the limbs within like 2 hits. But when you get Butcher on expert, it is a whole nother balls, man. It's a whole nother ball, man. You're able to swiftly take titans, you know, take zombies limbs off with ease. Take, for example, a shovel, right? A shovel, you have to use a heavy attack in order to take their legs off, and that's without Butcher, right? You get Butcher, it may take like 2 to 3 swings on the zombie's leg, and we're talking light attacks, right, before you actually chop their leg off. But with Butcher on expert, my guy, you no longer have to use heavy swings to take out their legs. All it takes is a light attack, and boom, you take off their leg. I know you're wondering, okay, like, you know, what's good about that? The zombie's still alive. Well, by doing that, you can take care of just absolute threats, right? Like a runner zombie. A runner zombie comes out of nowhere. Instead of you having to like kick that zombie and, you know, try to run away or do something, you can shove that zombie, stun him, right? Stagger him a bit. You can just do a light, swift attack. Boom. Now he's a crawler. Now you don't have to worry about somebody chasing you across the map. Pretty nice, eh? And not only that, when it comes to crawler zombies, they're, you know, they're really, really slow. You can jump over them, right? So it makes them basically no threat to you. That's very, very useful, especially when you're on power plant and you're having to do a mission where it's like, you know, you got to keep all the generators up as you're, you know, putting the codes in to power up different things, right? That's very useful. Very, very useful. It allows you to control, you know, it allows you to have insane crowd control, right? So we have Mule, Hitman, Butcher. We have another perk that is going to amp the amount of damage you do even more. So we have averaging. Yeah. Remember I told you averaging, it works with melee and it works with guns? Well, this, I feel like this would be a crazy combo. This is what I was thinking about when I was streaming, when I was playing No More Room Now live. How busted would it be if you were to have this perk with not only Hitman but Butcher on top of that? I think you have all those perks combined, you may be able to use something as small as a kitchen knife and one-shot zombies' legs. Like, you just completely swipe them like back in the day before they nerf it. You may be able to do that again with all three of those perks combined. Not only that, you may be able to take zombies out within one heavy attack to the body. We're not even talking about headshots no more, right? You're just able to one-shot zombies in the body. You just do one heavy swing, boom, they're gone. Right? So that's why I decided to put averaging on there, because we're already going with blades. And when you normally go with blades, you're going for the limbs, right? You're not necessarily trying to kill the zombie. So if that's the case, then this is a one-handed bladed build that allows you to one-shot the zombie's legs, right, at a quicker pace than if you were to use a two-handed bladed weapon, right? Because a two-handed bladed weapon ain't gonna be as fast as a one-handed bladed weapon. That's, you know, that's common sense. So yeah, I don't know if that's really the case though. I don't know. I've never really compared speeds with, you know, different melee. Never done that. But yeah, so we got Hitman, Butcher, averaging, and now we're gonna get into other perks that is going to aid us in you know, making sure that we can stay alive and that we can most definitely have enough stam, because with Hitman you're consuming more stam at the cost for more damage, which is not bad, but you're gonna most definitely need to kind of put a little cushion on that, you know, debuff a bit. So that's where we bring, you know, we bring guts into the play. Whenever we do become exhausted, we're able to gain our stamina back way much quicker, right? We have marathon runner in the mix as well, which is going to allow us to not use our stam when we're running, which is very, very good. Very good. Because then the only time we're using stam is whenever we're fighting zombies, which is what we want. Then we have Deprive, which I still haven't gotten this perk on expert, but this perk just, like, without it being on expert, already gives you a crazy amount of stam. So I can't even imagine how much stam you get when you get it on expert, because it's crazy. Like, it already gives a lot. So we have Deprive as well, which is not only going to make us you know, more tankier, but we're gonna have more stam. And then our final perk, which I'm honestly, I don't even know. I've been thinking about this for the longest, brainstorming, but our final perk is gonna be Sturdy Body on expert, which greatly reduces damage from attacks, you know, greatly reduced damage. I don't know how good Sturdy Body on Expert is. I know how Sturdy Body is by itself. It's not too bad, but you know, that's where I kind of just stopped my brainstorming, because there's so many options that you could go with when it comes to melee. And I was just thinking, this is, you know, ask it with like the majority of said perks, right? Is it really something that you would want? Because it's like with my last vid, right? You saw I have so many perks that are pertaining to stam, and I know folks are quite curious about that. Why are you so dependent on stam? I feel like when it comes to this game, stam is it's just a necessity, right? It's very essential to, you know, let's say the chances of you surviving out of a run, right? That honestly decides whether you're going to make it or you're not gonna make it, you know? Because if you don't have stam, guess what? You're not gonna be able to run unless you got marathon runner, right? Your attacks are going to be even slower than what they were previously, you know? Not only that, when it comes to melee, every time you attack and your character's completely exhausted, you only do half of that move's damage. So if you do a heavy attack and it normally one-shots a zombie, it's gonna take you 2 of those when you're exhausted to kill a zombie, right? Because you're only doing half damage. You're doing half damage, your attacks are way much slower, and you can't spam your attacks. You do one attack, your character pauses for a second or two, then the next one comes out. So, you know what's funny though? I'm not too sure if it also does the same thing when you have heavy shoves, but I'm pretty sure it probably does. Like, you know, it like nerfs your heavy shove damage by half as well if you're just spam shoving. But yeah, just overall, you just don't want to be out of stam. So that's why I'm so stam like dependent when it comes to my perks, or at least when it comes to just having a melee build. Okay, when it comes to having a melee build, you're gonna need all these perks. But for my final perk, Sturdy Body on Expert, I feel like that would help out a lot. But you know, I have mixed feelings about it, you know, because on one hand you have Sturdy Body, which just reduces the damage you take overall, which is very good. But I'm like, is that really needed though? I don't really think so, right? I don't really think it's needed. And then, you know, I look at that perk, but I'm like, I could have this jeans, right? Which I feel like jeans would be better because I can heal from my pills, but that makes it where I have to be bound to be infected and all that. So I'm like, I don't know. It's not one of those type of builds where I'm trying to be tanky or whatever. Which on the next part, I probably will make a tanky build, which would be another very versatile build where you can just rock whatever you want for real. Those are fun builds where you can just rock anything. This one isn't really like that for real. Like I said, this is a one-handed bladed build. So, you know, to cut to the chase, last perk, sturdy body on expert, that allows us to basically take a lot more damage, you know, so that's gonna really help us a lot when it comes to fighting the zombies. So to do a little recap, we have Mule, averaging, Hitman, Butcher, Marathon Runner, Guts, Deprived, with Sturdy Body. And obviously the only perk that we don't have on Expert is our starting perk, because that's just how, you know, that's just how the game does it. When you pick a character, depending on what their, you know, role is, so you may get like a baseball player, you may get an MMA fighter, depending on what type of role they have, it determines their starting perk. And your starting perk is always, you know, not on expert. I don't know if they'll change that in the future. I feel like it'd be pretty cool if they were to just add a mechanic where whenever you do max out your character, you know, it could either be you maxing out your character or you getting all of your stats to gold, or it could be both, right? You get your character maxed out, you get all your stats to gold, it makes your level 1, like your starting perk, be expert. Like, I feel like that'd be a very nice addition, you know. The only thing about that is level requirements, right? So obviously, let's say I had sturdy body like this character, right? But not that one, but this one right here. Sturdy body, right? If I were to, you know, let's say get him to 50, he have all his things gold, well, I'm only level 99, so it would probably be locked. You know, I wouldn't be able to do it until I actually unlock the expert version, and then I can click on it and upgrade it or whatever. And yeah, this is a brand new character. I know y'all are wondering what happened to Snag. Well, you know, like I said from before, today's live we played No More Room in Hell, played a little bit of Lethal Company, and did like a, you know, a reaction to a vid towards the very end. But in terms of No More, you know, Room in Hell 2, we got Snag to level 50, and like I said for my video, he's just not it. He wasn't really that good, so we had to just, you know, let him retire. Then we got another character, and his name was what was his name? I'm trying to think. What was his name? Yeah, his name was Malarkey. That's what his name was, right? So we had Malarkey, and we were on we were on the map where you have like the church, you have the food storage, things of that nature, right? My game, no cap, just decided to freeze on me, and when it came back, it resumed to my character being on the ground, and we ended up dying with him. Something that was just completely out of my control. I thought my game just crashed, but I guess in a sense it did, right? It froze. I have a clip of that actually on my Twitch, so if you want to see that and see my reaction, you most definitely can. I was perplexed, I'm not gonna lie. It most certainly just caught me off guard. But yeah, we ended up losing that character. I didn't know, I don't think I leveled him up or anything. He was a completely brand new character. There was a run we did before that, where we got him level 14, but for some reason the game put him back to level 1. You know? And another thing I can add on to that, when I started in that game, they started me with no items. So I didn't have the iron You know, I didn't have the iron pipe that you start off with, or the metal pipe, and I didn't have my revolver. I started off with no items. So that's a bug that I don't even know why it's still in the game, but that's a bug that has been in the game for quite some time. I don't know how it gets initiated or what makes it, you know, does that, but yeah, sometimes whenever you hop in the game with a brand new character, it will start you off with nothing. And if you start off with nothing when you had items in your loadout, 9 times out of 10, that means any progress that you make in that game is not going to count at all. So all of the team supplies that you get for your character for that game, it's not going to actually count. So when you head back to the main menu, or you head back into the game after completing that game, and you look at your character's still going to be level 1 or whichever level it was before that happened, right? Which really sucks. But yeah, Snag being an absolute, you know, dud, not good, doesn't have potential, you know, didn't have potential to unlock the BBB. And then we had Malarkey, unfortunate, you know, very unfortunate Delph. Could have been a very good character, but you know, what can I say? The game kind of just doomed us. Then we had after that, I'm pretty sure that's when we got this character right here, Wister. So we did one run. I did one run with this guy, got him to level 16, and would you look at that, this guy is looking very suited to potentially be BBB status. We have hard blow on expert, we got guts on expert with healing item stack, because the other 2 options was deprived and the other perk which increases your shotgun range, right? And the main reason why I didn't go with, you know, deprive is because I want the game to give me that choice again, but on expert. So I'm hoping they'll do that. Yeah, that's enough of that. So most than likely, if he is a complete bust, we will probably have like a part 3 onto new character, and I'll basically make a new character if this guy's a dud, and I kind of just walk you through me basically you know, seeing what we got. All right, now I just kind of wanted to collaborate on, you know, the new character, right? But we're gonna get back on topic. The BBB build for one-handed bladed weapons. Like I said from before, we have Mule, averaging, Hitman, Butcher, Marathon Runner, Guts, Deprived, Sturdy Body. We have all those good old perks. But, you know, the main question is, what is going to be my loadout? All right, what are we going to be going out there with then, since we have a build like that? Main thing, adrenaline shot. Right, that's the main thing. We most definitely need that adrenaline shot. All right, we're gonna need to start off with that, because that basically doubles our stam. Our build is very stam deficient or dependent, so yeah, most definitely gonna need that. The second thing we're gonna go out there with is body armor. Since we are rocking sturdy body on expert, why not make it even more, you know, why not make us even more tankier by rocking body armor on top of that? So we got imaginary body armor on our character, and we actually have body armor on top of that. So this is gonna make us very, very tanky. I don't know how tanky, because I've never gotten, you know, sturdy body on expert, because I don't have it unlocked yet. But as you see, I am very close to unlocking it. So if I do manage to get it, and we do like a, you know, a part we do a part 3 to, if you were to, you know, roll for your perks, I'll most definitely, you know, talk to y'all about it, like my experiences with having sturdy body on expert and how busted or, you know, how good is it? Yeah, with body armor, with sturdy body on expert, I think that's just gonna make us insanely tanky. Like, we may not even need heals. The only reason why I'm bringing heals, which is the final item, we have the mass casualty kit. The main reason why I want to bring this on my character is not only heals, right? We have, you know, a med kit, bandages, is mainly just the pills, right? I want to have a full-on source of medical supplies, which, when it comes to any build, I feel like the mass casualty kit is most definitely something you should aim for in any build, because that ensures that if anything goes wrong, you have things to, you know, heal your character with or take just in case you're infected. All right, because there's plenty of times where I'm like, okay, I don't need these items, but you know, when you say that, and then there's, you know, you're in the middle of a game and you can't find any pills on the map, right? Then what? You know, because you're not gonna always be able to just find pills. In terms of med kits, bandages, you know, you can most definitely find those, but pills, there are some times where you're in nightmare and there's no pills to be found. I'm telling you, bro. You're most definitely not gonna find an experimental, I tell you that. So no, y'all are like, well, if that's the case, then why not go with this? It makes you immune. Yeah, I could have that and just be immune every game, but it just defeats the purpose. Like, I don't know. I just don't really see the experimental shot being of any use. I just don't. Like, even when I unlock it, I'm probably not gonna equip it. I may equip it on my heavy shove build because why not, right? I can just shove everything with it, you know, but just to be, you know, 10 times funnier. But yeah, I know, revival syringe, wouldn't it be useful to take that as well? Yeah, but for me, it's like I don't really expect to go down, you know, at all. So, you know, that's why I got these said items. We have the body armor, the adrenaline shot, and the mass casualty kit, which is gonna, that's the main thing that's gonna prevent me from going down or dying, you know, the majority of the times. Because being able to just start off with heals is just really, really good. Now, to be honest with you, if the mass casualty kit only came with bandages and med kits, right, then I probably would go for the experimental, right? Or maybe even a revive syringe. But the fact that it comes with everything, pills and heals on top of that, that's why I'm like, why would I spend, what, 13 grand when I can just spend 5? Because I mean, hey man, you know, them tickets, they ain't growing. Hey man, they ain't growing off them damn zombies, I'll tell you that much. You know, 13 grand is crazy. If you're buying this, it better be a good character, you know? Not to mention, you got to be max level for it too. Versus, you know, this is like 90. They're both high requirements. They're both really high. So I can't really use that defense. They're just both really high items, but then again, you have this where it's like damn near 3 times the price of a med box. Yeah, you're immune the whole game. But let's be honest. The way infection is right now in this game, you can just chill with it. Like, there's really no consequences to it. As long as you have pills, you're good. And, you know, on top of that, all you need is literally 2 things of pills, and then you're good the whole game. That's all you need. 2 things of pills, and that will literally last you the whole game. So that's why I'm like, is this experimental shot? Does it really matter? No. Why would I want it? Plus, there's a perk in the game that allows you to heal with your pills, which, you know, makes me be even more like, well, nah. I would rather just let my character stay infected. You know? Which, like I said, that was the other option that I was gonna go with this build. It's either sturdy body or I'm going with, you know, the jeans. Which I feel like jeans would be more worth it. But, you know, nah. In this case, no. Yeah, we'll be able to heal with pills. But as I'm gonna reduce, you know, the amount of damage that we're taking, because it's like, if we're taking reduced damage, that means you're gonna be able to get hit way much more without going down. Kind of like having, you know, Juggernaut for you know, for a perk. But yeah, again, this build is just aimed towards one-handed bladed weapons. Basically allowing you to, you know, get through crowds of zombies pretty easily. You know, you have 2 choices. You got a bunch of choices, honestly, but, you know, I'm just saying, like, the typical ones, I guess. You can make all the zombies and the crawlers if you want, or you can just kill all the zombies, right? You can just hit them once, twice in the body, and they're probably dead, because you have averaging with hitmen, and both of those combined is, I don't know how much damage that's gonna do, because I've never gotten both of those together. But I feel like with those combined, you may be able to one-shot zombies. You may be able to just one-shot zombies in the body. Maybe even a prime zombie too. So that's kind of crazy. And I know some of you may ask, well, why didn't you go with Headhunter? The only reason why I didn't go with Headhunter is because we do have other zombies that are very, you know, resilient towards damage. Like, we have the SWAT zombie, we have the military, we have the construction, we have the firefighter, right? Those guys, it don't matter what you use as melee, you have to knock their helmet off before you can even damage their head, right? So, you know, when it comes to that, I don't think you can reduce the amount of hits it takes to you know, take their helmets or stuff off. It's normally like 2 to 3 hits, right? And then boom, their helmet just flies. So why do that when I could get averaging, and now it doesn't even matter if they have a helmet on their head, because I can just hit them in the body where they don't have armor at, for the most part, or it's not as, you know, durable as the helmet, and it's, you know, they're more susceptible to damage in that manner. So that's why I went with averaging. It just seems like, you know, the smarter thing to do, because if I go with Headhunter, it's still gonna take me, you know, about 3 to 4 hits to knock the helmet, you know, the military helmet off of this zombo. Whereas I could probably hit him in the body twice and he's dead. Right? It's not, oh man, we gotta pop his bubble shield off. No, he's dead. He's donezo. So yeah. With that being said, Now, if you've gotten up to this point, you know, put in the comment section, bubble bass. Bubble bass. That'll let me know that you gotten up to this point. And, you know, yeah, I really appreciate you. Really do. So, we're gonna talk about the other perks I was thinking about having, right? Before I decided to be like, okay, sturdy body is gonna be the last perk I put on this character. Okay, so like I said, jeans is a very good one. Jeans is a very good perk. It allows you to heal using pills. And, you know, honestly, I was like, I could do that. But then again, I thought about it and I'm like, this is a build where I'm trying to do damage. I'm not trying to just be super duper tanky. I'm not trying to aim towards a hybrid build, basically, right? This isn't one of them versatile builds. It's not. This is a build that you use one-handed melee weapons, right? That's the whole gimmick, because we have Hitman. Don't get me wrong, if you wanted to use a two-handed bladed weapon, you sure as hell can, because you got Butcher and you got Averaging. But it's, you know, you're not gonna have Hitman with it, you feel me? So yeah, jeans, I was like, you know what, nah, we're not gonna go with that. Another one that I was thinking about was in terms of just having even more stam, like being athletic on expert. But I'm like, athletic, I could go with that, but that's like even more stam. So I'm like, well, you know, that's not bad. But I'm like, why would I do that when I could just go for something that could increase my survivability? You know, increase my survivability even more than that. Because I'm not gonna lie, having more stam, it does do that. But also being able to reduce the damage that you take by a crazy amount, yeah, that would probably increase your survivability even more, because that deals with you actually taking damage versus just, you know, like a quality of life where it's like, all right, you have more stam, so you have something that prevents you, that helps you prevent damage, versus something that helps with you taking damage. You get what I'm saying? Which we already have perks that are helping us prevent that. So it's like, we need to low-key swap it around and get something that helps us deal with it. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go with sturdy body. Now, another thing, marathon runner, right? If you wanted to, you really could take marathon runner off and get something else, right? You could go with sturdy body, and you could go with lucky, which would make you take even less damage when you're infected. You know, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to be super duper stam efficient, you could take off marathon runner, go with lucky, or you can take, you know, marathon runner off and go with jeans, right? So now not only you're tankier, you know, through sturdy body, whenever you do get infected, you can use pills to heal. So you can still have that, you know, hybridness to it if you really, really want. But yeah, with that being said, you know, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the build, man. Do you think there's a better, you know, perk orientation that I could probably go with? what do you think about the loadout? Do you think this is a solid loadout? Because, you know, yeah, starting off with no weapons is kind of crazy. Yeah, it is kind of crazy, but you do tend to find a lot of one-handed weapons around the map. You know, is I would say it's honestly guaranteed to find a one-handed weapon. Will it be bladed? I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be bladed. But like I said, with hitmen and averaging, it's gonna make any one-handed weapon overall, it's gonna make it do some crazy damage. That's another thing I was thinking about. But I said, nah. We need to start off with the essentials, right? A melee weapon, I should be able to find one out there every run, basically, right? I can easily find a one-handed weapon. Shoot, if it, you know, it's like, shoot, somebody could just give me a weapon, right? And give me like a metal pipe or whatever, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. Because later on down the line, you may not find the best option like a hatchet or a machete, but you're gonna most definitely find like a kitchen knife or a cleaver, you know. And not to mention, bro, the options they give you for one-handed bladed weapons, I don't know if the cleaver's good or not. I'm probably gonna test this out. I know the kitchen knife ain't all that. It ain't. I don't even know if I don't even think this. I don't think both of these melee weapons are good, but I don't know. Y'all have to let me know in the comments if you've used them before. Let me know, you know, what you think about the kitchen knife and a cleaver. Should I even go for that? You know, should I go for that? Take something off? I just take the body armor off and then I go for that, or I just take the med box. You know, these are things that I'm kind of thinking about, and you know, if y'all are thinking about it as well, just let me know, because I would honestly like to see what y'all think about it. But hey, I'll just go over the build one more time before we just, you know, end it here. But like I said, one-handed bladed, we have our starting perk Mule, which is going to help us out a little bit towards the, you know, debuff from Deprived, where it takes 3 kgs off of your carrying capacity, but you have a lot more HP and you have a lot more stam. You have averaging, which is going to make you do more damage towards the body and less damage towards headshots. For us, you know, going with the bladed route, that's actually really good, because when people use bladed weapons in this game, it's morally towards limb damage, right? That's the main thing that you're kind of just trying to go for. Okay, Butcher allows us to eliminate limbs way much easier. But now that I think about it, would that help us in terms of armored zombies too? I'd have to test something like that out. But yeah, because I mean, it says it dismembers, you know, limbs much easier. So if that's the case, you know, one would probably assume that it would also help in, you know, if somebody, you know, a zombie has armor, you're able to just knock their armor off or get through it a lot easier with Butcher. Okay, then in terms of helping us survive a little bit better, we have Sturdy Body, reducing incoming damage by a lot. We have Guts, allowing us to recover way much faster. And we have Marathon Runner, which allows us to run everywhere and about on the map without consuming any stamina, which will save you a lot. That will save your behind a lot, especially on broad wave where you know, you have just constant, damn near constant runner zombies on you. So yeah. Then we have our loadout. We have the mass casualty box. That will ensure that we have all the medical supplies that we need in order to survive as long as we play it smart. We should be good with that. That should be most definitely good enough to find other, find other medical supplies scattered in the world. Then we have an adrenaline shot that increases our stam by like double. So that will allow us to fight zombies, like a whole crowd of zombies, and probably still be good since we have guts, because that perk is really insane. Okay, y'all should honestly try that perk out if you get it on a character. If you get it expert on a character, you should try that perk out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Then we have our body armor, which will protect us even more from, that will reduce, even more damage that we take. Okay, body armor stacks with sturdy body. All right, you could literally rock, for a tank build, you could rock lucky, sturdy body, and you can start off with body armor. All of those stacked together. Okay, I'm just letting you know. But yeah, that being said, hopefully y'all have enjoyed me talking about another what if, another one of the BBB builds that I would probably go with, that I would go with if I had the chance. I would most definitely go with that build. But yeah, it's just another BBB build. What can I say? As always, y'all have a good day / night, whatever the case may be. Trying to think. It was something else. Something else I'm missing. What was it? Oh yeah. In terms of the weapons that you'd probably want to look for this build, you'd probably want to look for just overall one-handed bladed weapons. You're gonna want to get your hands on either the machete or the hatchet. I think those are your best options to go with. Those are your best options to go with, bro, because they're both really, really good. But yeah, y'all enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, shout the notification bell, so you know whenever I make another W video like this one. And yeah, until next time, Brodies, I'll see you later.